This is a community-supported legal education channel. Find out how you can support our mission at the links in the description below. So this next one was widely reported, but I've brought up the Reddit website here. Recipeasly, food website removed after blogger backlash. Let's take a look at what's going on here. Tom Redman at Redman writes on Twitter, some personal news, 2 friends and I created a new thing to fix online recipes, Recipeasly.com, your favorite recipes except without the ads or life stories. Feedback and retweets appreciated. And then later he writes, so this has struck a chord. To the content creators, I'm sorry. Your recipe websites and blogs are amazing. We have nothing but respect and admiration for the time, money, effort, and years that go into creating great recipes and websites. We don't want to minimize your results for that hard work, and we've built Recipeasly carefully to make sure this doesn't happen. Clearly, how we're marketing Recipeasly doesn't demonstrate that respect at all. We missed the mark big time, and I'm sorry. It's worth clarifying, imported recipes are only visible to the user who imported them, similar to if a user has printed the recipe or copied it into a doc. We're putting great care into making sure Recipeasly can't be used to take away from the great work bloggers and creators do. I'm also grateful for the strong feedback. There's lots for us to learn, and I appreciate learning from the conversations in this thread. I'd like to clarify that we do not make any money off this. There is no revenue, much less profit. Also, to drive blog traffic, all recipe links on the homepage go out to the original recipe. I'm sorry, we hear you. Given the feedback, we are taking Recipeasly.com down as we re-examine our impact on the community. Our goal is to amplify the voices and content of creators, not diminish them. And if we come back, it'll be with changes where we have fallen short. And so Recipeasly.com now says, we're sorry, we have nothing but respect and admiration for the time, money, and effort that goes into creating great recipes and website. We don't want to minimize the results for all that hard work. We realize we're not demonstrating the huge respect we have for recipe creators. We missed the mark big time today, and we're sorry. Given the feedback, we're taking this down. We commit to making changes where we've fallen short. So I thought I would like to react to this, because this what they did is certainly allowed. Recipeasly company and Tom Redman can certainly take the website down, but in my general opinion, not legal advice, they weren't doing anything wrong. You're allowed to copy recipes. Recipes are not copyrightable. When you go to a recipe website, something that many of us dislike is that you've got like the short recipe, and then you've got pages and pages of the life story of the creator of the recipe. And if I understand correctly, the reason why authors do that is because it helps them get to the top of the search results. So if people are searching for a recipe for whatever, and it has a whole blog associated with it, for some reason the Google algorithm makes that a better search result. And I guess ad companies, Google, AdSense, and all that, they're more likely to put ads on those pages than if it's just, bang, here's your recipe, go have a nice day. Of course, those of us who are looking for recipes would really just like a description of the recipe, and then bang, here's your recipe, and any instructions about how to make the recipe. But the actual recipe itself, let me be clear here. You can have a copyright on like the prose or the text. Your creation, your creative expression can be copyrighted, but the actual recipe, these are the ingredients, put them together and you'll get this. That's really not copyrightable. That's functional. That's like saying, if I get a bottom of a box and I have a top of a box and I screw them together, there's a box. That's not really copyrightable. Maybe the design plans for the box, if it's, if you made up like an architectural drawing of this box or a house or something, those can be copyrightable, definitely, as long as they meet the standard for minimally creative, fixed expression in a tangible medium. But the actual recipe itself, to make pasta, put pasta in a pot, boil water, with boiling water, add sauce, serve medium hot. That's really not copyrightable. That's not infringement to copy somebody's recipe then. But maybe Tom Redman isn't worried about copyright so much as he's worried about those authors being upset that he's going to piggyback off of his work or redirect people. Maybe Recipeasly.com becomes the top Google search result, and then there's less Google traffic for those recipe creators. Plus, of course, they put in a lot of time and effort writing that whole damn blog that I just complained about to try and get to the top of Google. So now maybe they're threatened that they have put in all that work and they're not going to see the results. But them's the breaks. I don't see it any differently. Maybe I'm a little cold in that sense. But yeah, that's my disagreement here, is I don't think Tom had to take his site down. First, he's not just copying recipes. It seems like the recipes that are copied are being put into a recipe book of sorts that stays in one account, stays in one user's account. Maybe there's also public-facing recipes. Not sure how that works, but it seems from this description here on the Twitter thread, it seems like it's just for that user. And then it links back to the original recipe, so people can still go and read that whole blog thing if they really want to. I don't want to. I just want to see the darn recipe. I want, like, if I want to make an old fashioned, like, do you own a copyright on the ingredients for an old fashioned? That's one of my favorite drinks. You don't own a copyright on the ingredient list for an old-fashioned. Maybe you own a copyright on your description of how you were staying in Alaska one time, watching the aurora borealis and living with the wolves, and a native man came up to you and said, "I would like to show you how to make an old-fashioned." And maybe this was a moving experience in your life and you want everyone to know how wonderful it was that you discovered old fashions under the aurora borealis with a team of sled dogs and a native Alaskan man. Great. I don't care. I just want to know what ingredients to splash into my drink to get the result. And so if it's that, great. Maybe there's some way you could be more creative, and that's protected in some way. Pictures of your recipe being, your final dish, those are copyrighted. Yeah, if Recipeasly was copying the images that you've taken of your dish, yeah, that's copyright infringement. If they're copying the prose, that life story, that's copyright infringement. But if they're just copying the ingredients list, that's not copyright infringement. In my general opinion, not legal advice, because it's going to be a spectrum of things. But when you look at it, you can't copyright something that's not original and creative and also copyrightable subject matter. So in general, recipes are not copyrightable. And just to reinforce, here on the copyright.gov website, it says, "How do I protect my recipe?" A mere listing of ingredients is not protected under copyright law. However, where a recipe or formula is accompanied by substantial literary expression in the form of an explanation or directions, or when there is a collection of recipes as in a cookbook, there may be a basis for copyright protection. Note that if you have secret ingredients to a recipe that you do not wish to be revealed, you should not submit your recipe for registration, because applications and deposit copies are public records. So what does that say? It says that recipe ingredient lists are not copyright protected. Maybe the directions as to how to make the recipe are copyright protected. Definitely the literary expression that accompanies it, and maybe a collection of recipes in a cookbook would overall be protected by copyright. But if you bought a cookbook or rented or borrowed one from the library, and then you copied the ingredients list and then wrote your own instructions to make it, that's not copyright infringement if you then publish that. And if someone then takes your list of ingredients and learns how to make them from your description, but writes their own description, that's not copyright infringement. And the first comment here, the top comment, says that there is actually a recipe filter GitHub site, so maybe someone can figure out how to use that. But hey, Tom didn't want to upset the community, so they removed Recipeasly. And I'm here to say that I don't think they had to do that. Let me know what you think in the comments below. So that's our show. Thanks for joining me. I'm Leonard French, your favorite copyright attorney, and this is Lawful Masses, your favorite legal news and education program, here on YouTube, also on Floatplane, and on twitch.tv at Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. This is a community-supported legal education channel, meaning we need your financial support on a monthly basis on patreon.com/ljfrench, on sponsors.com/law, or through YouTube membership or Floatplane membership. Thank you very much in April of 2021 to our $50 plus supporters, Tyson, John Steele, Gavin Barnard, Eevi, Spirit Bear, Benjamin Hitov, Ugly Grill, Rudolph Bescherer Jr., Torpedan, Brandyn, Abel, Sovereign Tittizen, ShadowTycho, RDHDragon, and Earthbound Star. And thank you very much to the $5 plus supporters. Everyone's been scrolling on the updated LED panel behind me and will be on the videos in front of me that drop. I love you all. Have a great week. I hope you all had a nice holiday weekend, and I will see you in the videos. Bye.
I'm not a cat.
I just knocked. I've lost control, everybody.